all-loving, all-caring, all-concerned Maharishi. John in Norwich, New York, hello.
Anyways, I'll get right to the point here. You said, as far as the way it sounds, like he's already guilty without even a trial here. And the second thing is, I was listening to your show a few days ago here, and you said that Monica Lewinsky's life has been ruined and that she'll never be able to get another job again. I can't agree with either one of those opinions. First of all, a man needs a trial before he's proven guilty. Second of all, she's got more opportunity now than she had before.
Well, let me, what do I do with this? As to the president's guilt, I have not pronounced him guilty. I don't know. All I have done is study the man for 5 years. I know his MO, I know his techniques, and I also know human nature. And I think it is logical to conclude or to assume that there are things he doesn't want us to know. And if there are things he doesn't want us to know, there are things that are harmful to him. As I have said, John, whenever they have evidence to refute negative charges about the administration, they get it out in minutes or days or hours. They don't go into a stonewall mode. Now, this is just my experience of studying the situation. We also have 20 hours of Monica Lewinsky on tape. Now, if you want to assume that she lied to Linda Tripp for 20 hours, we're not pronouncing guilt in the legal sense here anyway, but we all have brains, and you cannot help, if you're a thinking individual, but then to sit around and... We're talking about the President of the United States. We're talking about the man who's in charge with enforcing, protecting, and defending at the highest levels the documents that found and maintain this nation as the greatest in the world. I think it would be short-sighted and almost as though your head is in the sand if you want to sit there and blindly ignore what is already known on the basis of, well, nobody is guilty until they're found that way by a jury. This is never going to get to a jury anyway unless that jury is the Senate in an impeachment hearing. As for Monica Lewinsky, I distinctly recall saying that her life has been destroyed in the sense that her reputation's gone, and don't leave out something very... Let me just restate my whole point. We have here a man, Bill Clinton, who has been systematically supported by the feminists of this country through thick and thin, as a man who is open to their concerns, responsible for implementing their agenda, and sensitive to what their complaints about our society are. Well, here's a man who has been accused time and time again of sexual harassment, and the feminists are silent. Now we have a man who, it has been said by a woman, and that women, we're told by feminists, don't lie about these things, in 20 hours of tapes, that unless she's lying in all 20 hours of tapes, that she had an affair with the president, and it was an oral sex affair. And the White House, which is controlled by the president, is doing its best to create the notion that she is a crackpot fool, that she's a woman who's delusional, that she's a woman who fantasizes. By that I mean this man, whom feminists in America have praised as the most enlightened man ever to come along for their cause, is systematically falling into every stereotype feminists have found wrong about men since time began. You have here a story. A woman says an affair took place, the president says in one corner of his mouth it didn't. His poll numbers go up, and her reputation is below the gutter now. Now, in America, there's plenty of work for people whose reputations are below the gutter. I mean, you can find that in Washington. There's plenty of opportunities. She's going to find some kind of... She's probably going to be a tabloid pinup for the rest of her life. She's going to be a joke. And she's going to be a joke not because of what we know she did or didn't do, but because of what the White House's orchestrated campaign to portray her as a crackpot has been and how successful it is. And that is also very typical of this administration. I say, you should subscribe to the Limbaugh letter, John. We're going to put together a list. We may not have enough pages in our newsletter to do it. We're going to put together a list of people that since 1992 have to be lying if Bill Clinton is telling the truth. And you judge for yourself. All we do here, John, is give you information that you're not going to get anywhere else. We'll give you a take on it you probably won't get anywhere else. But we leave the opportunity to make up your own mind to you and everybody else. Nobody's forced to believe anything to listen to this program. Nobody is required to pass certain tests before they are given the frequency on which this program is broadcast in secret. Throw it out there. If you choose to believe it or not is up to you. But I think that what's happening to Monica Lewinsky is just it's so. There's so much proof that what the women of America have always been complaining about. There's a double standard. Both people were involved in this. Let's just assume hypothetically it took place. Both people were involved. Here you have a 51-year-old man, most powerful man in the world, a 24-year-old young woman, not versed in the ways of the world, maybe starstruck a bit, Google-eyed. And the President of the United States has successfully put out the notion he's walking along one day in the White House, minding his own business, and her feminine wiles overtook and conquered his courageous, great character and will. He was powerless. Come on, that insults me, and it ought to insult every woman in this country. To sit there and watch the White House make of him the victim here. So you believe what you want, and you think what you want of me for thinking what I think, but I'll bet you this. Any day of the week, any time, you name it, I'll make a better case for what I believe than you can make a case for what you believe, because you can't make a case for what you believe because your side hadn't told you what to believe. All you can do is sit there and beat up on people like me. And I haven't done anything. Next person want to give it a try, I'm here.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Ricola. Pleasant tasting Ricola. Nature's way of calming coughs and soothing sore throats around the world for over 70 years. Ricola is the original herb cough drop from Switzerland, a unique blend of 10 organically grown alpine herbs and other natural ingredients. Ricola, natural, effective cough and sore throat relief. Ricola! Also available in sugar-free natural herb throat lozenges. Ricola! Use Ricola only as directed.
I need my coupon mailer for Route 28.
I spend all day on the move, delivering hundreds of pieces of mail. Now look, don't get me wrong, I love my job, but my feet get so sweaty, smelly, and itchy, nothing helps.
Introducing new Gold Bond medicated foot powder. 3 foot relievers in one. Gold Bond absorbs moisture, controls odor with baking soda, and stops the itch with a proven medicated itch fighter. New Gold Bond medicated foot powder.
Gold Bond. Finally, something that really helps.
Use only as directed.
Looking for a truck? See your little country dealer, James Finch Chevrolet.
Do yourself a favor, give a listen to me. If you're looking for a dealer, here's the man that you should see. He's really big on service, he's big on quality. He's the little country dealer, he's right for you and me.
When it's time to buy a new truck, you want to save money and get a good deal. The one to see is James Finch Chevrolet, your little country dealer in Bailey. It's got a great selection of trucks from the Chevrolet S10 pickups to them 4-wheel drive Blazers and custom vans. Your little country dealer in Bailey has got the right truck for you. Get the truck you want at James Finch Chevrolet.
He's really big on service, he's big on quality. He's the little country dealer, he's right for you and me.
James Finch Chevrolet, Main Street in Bailey. Buy from your little country dealer and save big. He's just a little drive from almost anywhere in the area.
Hey, have you gotten your tax refund back yet?
No, I haven't.
Well, you need to go to VIP Tax Service on Berkeley Boulevard in Goldsboro because they can get your refund back in just a matter of hours.
What about their fees?
That's the best part. Your fees are deducted from your refund, and they're among the lowest fees in town.
Well, if that's the case, I'm on my way to VIP Tax Service right now.
VIP Tax Service, Berkeley Boulevard, just outside the gate at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base, Goldsboro.
Discover class without the cost. Discover Jernigan Furniture, the name synonymous with quality and impeccable service backed by 4 generations. They match to suit your overall decor and design with brands including Huntington House, Lazy Boy, Staten, Clayton Marcus, and others. And they continue to follow up after the sale. Jernigan Furniture makes America's finest furniture incredibly affordable, tailoring in-house credit programs to suit you. Class without the cost. Jernigan Furniture, 2101 East Ash Street, Goldsboro.
WGBR.
We have 1 minute. We'll go to Marshall in Roslyn, New York. Hello, Marshall. Welcome to the show.
El Rushbo, thank you for the brain food and the stitch showing today.
You bet.
Bill Clinton, I read, is having another fundraising for his legal defense fund, which is between $3 and $4 million while he's in office. I don't know whether this is legally correct or not, but morally, it sucks. Your opinion?
What he's doing, they've had to shut down the other legal defense fund because nobody was contributing to it. There was a $1,000 limit in that fund, so they've shut that one down. And they're looking into options for a new one. He owes about $3.5 to $4 million, needs help. And they want to establish a legal defense fund that will allow contributions up to $10,000. Yeah, I don't know that there's anything legal against it. By the way, you should know this. He also gets to exclude these contributions from counting as income on his taxes. Get that. And he's got to pay this, but all the contributions are not going to be counted as income, so it's all tax-free to him. And he is the only president who's ever needed something like that.
To enjoy savings on jewelry for your Valentine, Barnes Jewelers has 30% off diamond jewelry, gold chains, and earrings. Up to 50% off savings on watches. For your special Valentine, shop the savings at Barnes Jewelers, home of Eastern Carolina's best jewelry repair service. 502B, Eastgate Drive, Goldsboro.
For special people, give something special from Barnes Jewelers.
Every weekend, you hear bits and pieces about something the president has commented on in his weekly radio address to the nation. But why not hear the entire radio address for yourself and draw your own conclusions? Join 1150 WGBR every Saturday morning at 11:30 to hear the president's weekly radio address in its entirety, followed by the Republican response. That's every Saturday morning at 11:30, brought to you as a public service on 1150 WGBR.
First in Wayne County. Hear what everybody's talking about. 1150 WGBR Goldsboro.
NBC Radio News. 2 U.S. fighter jets on a training mission have collided over the Persian Gulf, where a buildup of forces is underway in the continuing standoff with Iraq. Correspondent Jim Miklashevsky has details.
What we're told is that it appears that 2 Marine F-18s were involved in a mid-air collision over the Persian Gulf. These F-18s were off the aircraft carrier USS George Washington.
Reports say the 2 pilots have been rescued. When peppered with questions about the White House sex scandal during a news conference with Britain's Tony Blair, Clinton said he would not resign over it. The president was vocal about grand jury leaks, with the White House planning possible legal action. Independent counsel Kenneth Starr also promised a probe of the leaks. Clinton denied he coached his personal secretary, Betty Curry, in her testimony to the grand jury, reiterating that he never told anyone to lie. I'm Barbara Porter.
This Valentine's Day, send your sweetheart the most romantic gift they'll ever receive. Have a star named after them. For $45 and a call to 800-282-3333, the International Star Registry will send them a full-color parchment certificate, sky charts to locate their star, and a fascinating booklet on astronomy. The new star name will be recorded in book form in the U.S. Copyright Office. Call 800-282-3333. The International Star Registry. 800-282-3333. A gift that lasts as long as your love.
You got your 3-bean vegetable chili. You got your green chili with pork. You got your Badlands buffalo chili. Ooh, you got your chain gang chili. But you haven't got one lick of heartburn because you took your Axid AR. Gets to work so fast it can stop your heartburn before it even begins. Hey, you ever tried chili poured into a bag of corn chips? Whew, that's a highway. Axid AR for heartburn. Bring on the real food.
Use as directed. Individual results may vary.
The word of the mid-air collision in the Persian Gulf comes as Defense Secretary William Cohen ordered dozens more warplanes to the region. British Prime Minister Tony Blair at the White House says it's not that allies are ignoring a diplomatic solution.
The question of whether there is such a diplomatic solution rests ultimately with Saddam Hussein. He has the choice. He can bring himself back into compliance with the agreements he entered into, and then that diplomatic solution can be fulfilled.
Cohen is en route to a defense conference in Germany. He will then go to the Gulf, reportedly to lay out an offensive for allies. A judge blasted a Seattle schoolteacher for violating her parole before sentencing Mary Kay Letourneau to 7.5 years in prison for meeting with a boy she was convicted of raping. Police officers testified the 35-year-old teacher, who was ordered not to have contact with the boy, was found in the car with the 14-year-old at 3 a.m. They also said there was evidence the couple might have intended to flee with the child they had together. A jury has been picked to hear the sexual misconduct court-martial against the Army's former top enlisted man. Correspondent Richard Sheehy in Fort Belvoir, Virginia, says opening statements could begin later this afternoon.
The jury is made up of 8 members with an even split between officers and enlisted personnel, like McKinney. The panel includes a male officer who is black and 2 females. According to military law, McKinney could be convicted if 6 of these 8 panelists agree on his guilt. McKinney faces 19 counts of sexual misconduct. He could face more than 55 years in prison if he's found guilty.
How about an airport for your birthday? President Clinton has signed legislation to name Washington National Airport after former President Ronald Reagan. Reagan turns 87 today. The jobless rate held steady in January with strong job growth. 358,000 new jobs created, unemployment at 4.7%. On Wall Street, the Dow up 63, trading at 80.5. With NBC Radio News, I'm Barbara Porter.
Do you still read the same old way you were taught in school? Well, that's like driving an old car 20 miles an hour on the highway. Guess what? When it comes to reading, your brain is really like a Ferrari, and there's no speed limit. The Reading Genius Home Study course shows you how to put a turbo boost in your reading speed. Instead of seeing words, you'll absorb what's on the page like it was one of your favorite movies. Reading 200% faster becomes as easy as flicking a light switch. The amazing Reading Genius technology has already been used by employees at Apple Computer and average readers who have gone on to become some of the world's fastest readers. Reading Genius is proof that when it comes to reading, there's no speed limit. It's fun, it's easy, and it's fast. You'll read 200% faster or more, or your money back. Call 1-800-820-2097. That's 1-800-820-2097. Again, 1-800-820-2097.
Chips by ESD Technologies believes in doing, not just saying. They're a locally owned computer company that sells and services computers. They're a Wayne County Schools partner in education. And through Partners in Education and other programs, they believe in doing their part to help all students in Wayne County. And they're proud to be a sponsor of the Quiz Bowl broadcast on WGBR. Chips by ESD, East Ash Street, Goldsboro.
Plenty of gray skies in the forecast as we look towards the weekend as a lot of low-level moisture hangs in around the area. We'll see mostly cloudy skies through the afternoon, occasional light rain and drizzle. There may be a few patches of sun here and there with highs in the low to mid-40s. A cloudy night tonight, low to mid-30s for the low. And continued mostly cloudy for tomorrow. Again, chance for some spotty drizzle across the area with highs ranging from 40 to 45. I'm meteorologist Chris Thompson in the Weather Center.
Performing my job with flawless broadcast excellence, this is Rush Limbaugh on WGBR. my good friends. Great to have you along. Rush Limbaugh, the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies, an institute devoted to the discovery of truth. Featuring lectures by noted host Rush Limbaugh, the all-knowing El Rushbo, Maharishi. Engaged in our daily, relentless, unstoppable pursuit of the truth, join us.
Live from New York, it's Open Line Friday!
Where callers choose the subjects that we discuss. Phone number if you'd like to be part of the program, and we'd love to have you. 800-282-2882. Also, the email address, rush@eibnet.com. Both venues open to you. There's some other things in the news out there, ladies and gentlemen. I want to run through them. Boy, my stack of stuff here is just popping right up in front of me, and I got a lot of things here that I had planned until this big news happened last night with the New York Times. This is a interesting story. Governor Roy Romer, who's chairman of the Democratic National Committee, acknowledged today having a long-standing, very affectionate relationship with a woman who was his top aide in Colorado before working with him at the Democratic National Committee. Romer is 69. He publicly denied during campaigns in 1990 and 1994 having an affair with Betty Jane Thornberry, who's 51, and is also divorced. But he said today the relationship that began 16 years ago was not sexual and is a private matter accepted by his wife and family. He said there are problems of relationship that arise in most American relationships. I had mine. It is not a sexual relationship. I'm not a very sexual person, but it is a very affectionate relationship. Now, asked about his previous denials, Roy Romer said in today's edition of the Denver Post, quote, "I was carefully answering about having a sexual affair. I'm not a very sexual person." These Democrats are learning well from their leader. So I was carefully answering about this. It's a sexual affair. There wasn't any sex in this. It was just a deeply affectionate affair. One other point here, ladies and gentlemen, about the whole notion here of Betty Curry's testimony, the story in the New York Times, and whether or not the president is viewed as having coached her. One thing that investigators can look to, a lot of cases have been decided on circumstantial evidence. One of the things that investigators can look to is a pattern of behavior. If, for example, this was the first time that it had been suggested by anybody that Clinton or somebody in the White House might be coaching witnesses before their grand jury testimony, well, it's an isolated story. But this is not the first time. Don't forget those talking points that Monica Lewinsky gave to Linda Tripp. Those talking points were not written by a 24-year-old woman who doesn't have any education in the law. Those talking points, and those talking points advised Linda Tripp how to lie when she was deposed as part of the Paula Jones case. So there is, investigators look at this, there's a pattern, and those talking points are for real. They're there. They're not just he said, she said. It's not somebody saying that somebody told me to do this. They're on paper. So again, I would say to you Clinton defenders, I know how tough your job is. I asked Mr. Snerdley, how many Clinton defenders are you turning away just because they're rude or incomprehensible? He said, I've only had one call. Well, he said one call he could put on the air. Some are just unintelligible. But I want to tell you, Clinton defenders, I feel for you. I really do. I have great compassion for you. I know how you want to believe your guy. I can remember 1986 when this Iran-Contra stuff came up. And President Reagan went 4 months without saying a word about it. And there were so many of us who were just devoted to Reagan. We just, come on, just answer the questions. Just call a press conference. Nuke these guys. Throw this out of the park. Just set it straight. And a long time went by before he did. And during that period of time, doubt creeps in and you wonder what to do. And so The natural tendency is to remain loyal and want to go after the attackers. Well, that's where you Clinton defenders are today. I understand you wanting to come after me. I understand your unwillingness to, because what are you going to get after me with? You don't have a version to defend. Your leader, the man for whom you have great admiration, hasn't told anybody what happened. All you can say is that he's denied sexual relations, but then you're not prepared to define that for yourself, much less anybody else. And you don't feel comfortable calling me and saying, look, there's an investigation going on and he's required by law to stay silent about it. Because you know that's a lie. There are no rules in this investigation which prohibit him from commenting. In fact, it's such a smokescreen. The investigation is solely about him. He could wrap this thing up in 30 seconds if he wanted to, but he doesn't. Because he can't. Because this would be, as the New York Times says, self-immolation. So, I understand your conundrum, your dilemma. All you loyal Clinton defenders can do is find unique ways to criticize or attack me. Keeping in mind, I'm not accused of anything. You accuse me of all sorts of stuff, but I'm not accused. Criticize me, but I'm not accused of anything. The president is. So you don't have an agenda to call here and defend. Your guy hasn't given you a version of events that you can decide whether you believe or not. So all you have is your loyalty to the guy, but that isn't enough to call here and make a case for him because you don't know what case he's going to make for himself. And you also know, admit it, Clinton defenders, you know that half of what he says you're dubious of. You just use your faith to get you through it. We all know why he's not offering a version of events regarding Monica Lewinsky. It's because she hasn't offered one. And until she does, he doesn't know what to lie about. Now, I know that's really going to anger you Clinton defenders because you think that it's mean-spirited in an attempt at the same time to be funny. But it's neither. It's the simple fact. It's the truth. He can't possibly give his version of things until he finds out what she's going to say. Because only then will he know what to lie about, if anything. She may come out with a version he doesn't lie about at all, but he doesn't know that until she speaks up. And if she doesn't speak up, why should he? I know it puts you in an uncomfortable position because you have nothing to defend. You can't call up and say, I believe the president when he says, well, you can call that, but that's where you end. You can call up and say that, but I believe the president when he says, and I think you're just rotten. Why can't you get up his case? You're always attacking Clinton. For 5 years you've been attacking Clinton. When is it delivered? That's all you can do. So what you would be reduced to, if you were to call, would simply be rush bashing. And you can do that if you want. But I don't think that'll be very persuasive in convincing other Clinton loyalists that they're siding with the right guy here. I know your dilemma. I feel for you. I feel very, very, very bad for you. And I think some of you, for that reason, should question your loyalty. Barbara Streisand was in the reception line last night. She went to the state dinner with her fiancé, James Brolin. Get this. Here's as I watched, this is the lineup. Now, these people are waiting in line. This reception line probably took an hour because there were 240 guests to go to the state dinner for Vice President Bill Blair. And we had Barbara Streisand and James Brolin go by. Then Newt Gingrich and Marianne Gingrich went by. And then Steven Spielberg and his wife, Kate Capshaw, went by. Now, that means that Newt was sandwiched for about a half hour in line between Barbara Streisand and Steven Spielberg. Can you imagine what that would have been like? I don't know. I frankly, I wouldn't have any idea to know who got the worst of it. But Barbara Streisand said, we elected him president, not Pope. I wish the people who do these illegal leaks and the media who exploit them would show respect for the right to privacy and presumption of innocence. After that, it's no one's business what goes on behind closed doors. Barbara, if you were married to him, are you telling me you wouldn't care? Come on. Oh, don't try to convince people you're that open-minded. He would never be alone if you were married to him. Never, ever. That Lincoln bedroom would be padlocked, and you'd never leave the White House, except when he did. More polls. Many Americans disapprove of news coverage about alleged sexual improprieties by President Clinton, faulting the media's objectivity and the amount of attention devoted to the story. Nearly two-thirds of those surveyed thought the media have done only a fair or poor job in carefully checking the facts before reporting. 60% said the media were not being objective in the story. 54% were unhappy with the amount of coverage. Okay, you in the press, stop it. Stop coverage immediately. The public is tired of it. The polls say so. Just stop it. I know I'm being facetious. Of course, they're all watching it. But all these people, I don't like this. Same with OJ. Same with OJ. I'm sick and tired of OJ. I'm sick and tired. I don't want OJ. They couldn't be dragged away from the TV set whenever there was anything to do with OJ on. But you people in the press, you know, whenever you got polling data that says the Republicans want to starve children or the Republicans' policies are not appreciated, why are you going so against the will of the people? Why don't you just understand if people don't want your ideas, and why don't you just all agree to go along and get along with the president? I always say the same thing to the press now. Look, the public doesn't like the way you're covering this story. Why don't you either drop it or give the public what it wants? The Clinton administration told, or has told Congress for the first time, that it could support protecting cigarette makers from most lawsuits if necessary to enact a landmark settlement with tobacco companies. I'll translate this for you. The administration has told Congress that they'll tell the tobacco companies, all right, we'll protect you against any further lawsuits. All you got to do is come up with that money in the settlement we want so we can save Social Security. Congress is livid. Barney Frank is really, really, really upset. I resent the administration's unwillingness at this date to get specific. I don't think you can be on all sides of this issue, said Barney Frank. A lot of Democrats are upset. They don't want to let the tobacco companies off the hook. The administration is willing to let them off the hook as long as they get the big bucks. Have to take a break here, folks, as we're a little long. We'll come back and finish the hour with your phone calls on Open Line Friday, so stay with us.
You're listening to the EIB Network.
Remember those old cowboy classics where all the upstanding people in town got fed up with the bad guys, stood up to them, and ran them out of town? Well, that's kind of what's going on now, except instead of one little town, it's America. The guys in the black hats are the gang at the IRS, and the guys in the white hats are us average people who are going to shut down the IRS and run them out of town with the new Fair Tax Plan. See, the Fair Tax Plan doesn't tax you on what you earn. It taxes you only on what you choose to spend. You're taxed just once on new retail goods and services. It will eliminate all those hidden taxes you're paying now. Prices won't go up at the cash register, and you'll have more money to save for things like education, retirement, or a new home. So, like in the old movies, while you're saving the town, you're also helping yourself. Call now and join Americans for Fair Taxation at 1-800-FAIR-TAX. That's 1-800-FAIR-TAX. Some things are weird.
Legislative advertisement paid for by Americans for Fair Taxation.
You're smart, right? You want fast, accurate trades and seriously low commissions. That's Ameritrade. Internet trade for $8. Touchstone trade for $12. Or trade by broker for just $18. Check out Ameritrade.com or call 1-800-403-3399. Open an account by April 15th and get a free IRA for life. Call 1-800-403-3399 or go to Ameritrade.com. Ameritrade, the way to trade, period.
Member NASD SIPC, $2,000 minimum equity required to open your account.
You're out there working day in, day out, in the hot seat, making decisions, making sure things are done right, getting the job done. While you're out there, who's minding your financial concerns? Will you be able to retire when you want, educate the kids, take that vacation you've been planning? Personal financial advisors with American Express Financial Advisors can help you reach those goals. Call Tom Daniels, 580-7114. Tom Daniels, 580-711-14, American Express Financial Advisors, your personal and business financial planning company.
Hey, thanks for stopping. No problem. Can you help me out?
Oh, I think so. It's real bad out here, though.
Yeah, I can't even see this stuff.
When bad weather hits, turn to 1150 WGBR for complete coverage in all weather conditions. You can count on WGBR to keep you up to date on the latest in closings, cancellations, and delays, plus any emergency information you need to know. Hear what everybody's talking about on 1150 WGBR.
I'm looking for the best place to get some roses for my Valentine. Got any ideas?
Yeah, I got a beautiful gift basket and stuffed animal with Baskets and Blooms.
Okay, but what about the roses?
Hey, Baskets and Blooms has chocolates, balloons, and even fresh-cut flowers.
Well, great, but what about the roses?
They also have plants, custom gift baskets,
And the roses?
Oh, yes, of course, roses. And here's the best news of all. If you place your Valentine's Day order by February 10th, you'll get a 10% discount. 10% off by the 10th at Baskets and Blooms, 1205 Wayne Memorial Drive. Call 736-2599.
Hi, this is Jim Bohannon. Hope you'll join me for what I really think is one of the best talk shows around, The Jim Bohannon Show, right here on WGBR 1150 AM. It's really three shows in one. We have the best guests around. Could be somebody from the world of politics or entertainment or sports or maybe a surprise or two. Then your calls for that noted guest, and we wrap things up with open phones when you and I talk about whatever you want. That's the Jim Bohannon Show. Hear what everybody's talking about on 1150 AM WGBR.
Performing my job with flawless broadcast excellence, this is Rush Limbaugh on WGBR. I want to repeat one more observation I made early on in the program. I know there's a lot of tune-in, tune-out factor during any radio program, less on this one than most, but there's still people listening now that weren't at 12 noon. And the New York Times story indicated this morning that the president had coached his secretary, Betty Curry, by bringing her into his office the day after, this is key, by the way, the day after his testimony before the grand jury, or gave his deposition in the Paula Jones case. And the New York Times story says he brings her in the day after the deposition and says things to her. Now, I never was alone with her, Monica Lewinsky, right? And the original interpretation of that was, aha, he's coaching her, getting her ready to say the same thing he said in his deposition. The White House today is saying, no, we weren't coaching. The president was just trying to refresh his recollection. He wasn't quite sure. Don't you think the time to refresh your memory is before you do your deposition, not after? This is the day after he has given sworn testimony. Hey, Betty, could you come in here? I'm trying to figure out if I told these people the truth. Now, I was never in there alone with her, right? No, Mr. President. Good, that's what I told him. I couldn't. Because if can you imagine this? Now, Betty, come on in here. Thanks. And I wasn't in that room ever with her alone, right? Oh, Mr. President, a couple times, I think. Oh, my God, I told him, oh, gee, I got to get down there and amend my testimony. You think that's what was going on here? Refreshing his memory after the deposition? I know it's tough for you Clinton defenders out there, but sometimes life is full of challenges. Fort Collins, Colorado. This is Chad. Welcome to the program, Chad. Nice to have you with us.
Hi, Rush. The reason I was calling is I was listening to our illustrious governor's press conference this morning on the way back from school, and I just thought I'd share with you some insights that I got from it. He is, like you said, playing the same game that Clinton is. They were wanting him to specifically define a sexual relationship because I don't know how much you've read on it, but in 90 and 94, he explicitly denied having a sexual affair with DJ, you know.
Yeah.
And so they were really pressing the issue in the press conference, and he got rather upset, you know, saying the same kind of things. Well, you know, what a sexual relationship to you might be totally different from me. You know, it's an affectionate, very affectionate relationship, and you know, it was rather interesting. But
he said he was not a sexual person. His wife knew all about it. His wife.
Oh yeah.
Hasn't his daughter testified that, hey, this is a known thing? We knew this was going on.
Yeah, absolutely. But what was really interesting is he went so far as to redefine fidelity too. Because they asked him, you know, okay, well, if it's not sexual, what do you think about being in, you know, not being faithful on your wife. And he's like, well, what fidelity means? It means being open and trustworthy with your wife, and just making sure they understand all the relationships. It's okay to do this kind of a thing. I mean, he was totally changing the moral standard, it seemed like, that has originally been held, I guess, in most people's mind as to what fidelity is.
I'm a big cynic here, and I know this is not the case, but it may as well be. What you have here is an excellent trial balloon for the Clinton people to watch, just to see how this floats out in Colorado. Very liberal state. Well, parts of it are. Very democratic state. See how this flies out there. See what the people's reaction to this is, because I can conceive of the day where the president would say, well, you've heard that there was a lot of emotion, and I cared for that girl because she seemed lost all over the place. We had some times alone together, yes, but it was simply, I mean, Hillary knew about it. You've heard Hillary say this, and we know what each other are doing, and really nothing went on here that anybody would find anything wrong about. I can see Clinton saying the exact same thing if this flies well.
I was thinking the same thing, but, he explicitly denied, of course, not having any communication with the White House about this issue at all like that. But, it was amazing to watch the press's interpretation of this. When it first came out, they're like, a conservative magazine has come out with these awful allegations. And now it's almost like, well, he came out and, they have comment lines on the radio and saying that, well, at least he came out and had the guts to stand up for what he believed in, and as long as he's doing a good job. And
well, I'll tell you what, I think the same thing with Clinton. I think if from the get-go, but he can't because he doesn't know what she's going to say. That's the problem. I think Clinton would actually love to go up there and give you a version of what Romer's doing. I think he'd love to try to convince people that he had basically taken this lost flower under his wing and making sure she had the right guidance in life. And yeah, they had some affectionate moments, but there were never sexual relations. And I'm sorry if anybody's got it, but he can't say that because he doesn't know what she's going to say. That's where he's caught. Not only do I have no question he'd love to do it, I have no question he'd be forgiven, too. And I think in the White House they're a little frustrated because they know that if they could just say something like that, and they still can, by the way, all he's done is say sexual relations. And they're going to define that in any number of ways. I'm just going to tell you, folks, it all depends on the polls. If this thing were being greeted with approval numbers of 45, 47, 48, you'd see an entirely different mode of behavior out of the White House. And if you think it's fun now, you can't imagine how much fun it would be if it's in the mid to high 40s and falling. But until it gets there, this may as well not. What, Mr. Sturtley? I don't know that the Curry story is going to help get it there. I would tend to think that it won't, given this lame press conference today. Now, granted, we didn't hear from the heavy hitters in the press. We didn't hear from the Donaldsons, the Claire Shipmans, the David Blooms, the what's that woman's name? Sarah McClellan. Wouldn't that have been a hoot if she'd have gotten a question in today, but she didn't. This, as I'm saying, this is the lamest performance, given how they've been mining this story, and given what there is to be discovered in this story. The questions that were asked at this press conference today were some of the lamest I've ever seen.
Ever join the NASCAR circuit and be leading the big race, and as you dive into the pit, you ask your crew, "Hey guys, your work guaranteed for life?" And the crew chief snaps, "Lifetime guarantee? Who do you think you are, Dale Earnhardt? And what do you think this is, GM Goodwrench Service Plus?" And this sets your mind racing. So you go and you get a lifetime guarantee on parts and labor, plus upfront pricing, plus courtesy transportation. And you think GM Goodwrench Service Plus, the plus means better.
Call 800-96-GM Plus for the select GM dealer near you. Ask for limited lifetime guarantee details.
This is WGBR News, Goldsboro's very own.
It's time for a look at local news. I'm Thomas Vick on 1150 WGBR. New predictions for the Neuse River. The new reports indicate the river will crest at 24.5 feet late tomorrow afternoon, 6 feet less than levels reached during Hurricane Fran. The river now just over 22 feet. Local evacuations have begun. The Salvation Army has begun setting up evacuation shelters. No new road closures, however. More are expected over the next 24 hours. Goldsboro police say a George Street man killed himself yesterday morning by hanging himself with a fan belt suspended from a clothesline. According to police reports, 57-year-old John Wesley Hall of 1304 North George Street died just before noon. Chief Chester Hill said family members told authorities Hall was depressed and his health was declining. Police were called to the scene following an eyewitness account of Hall lying on the ground in the same position for over an hour. Investigator John Wiggins ruled out foul play. Local Red Cross officials are concerned about the current blood supply in the county. It's in critical status, and for some blood types, emergency is the story. Officials say critical means there's about a day's supply left, and emergency represents less than a half day. Those types in the critical category, O positive and negative. Those in emergency status, B positive and A negative. The control of hazardous waste and its effects on the public is a major concern at Seymour Johnson Air Force Base. Officials emphasize the base is doing everything possible to control hazardous waste produced by the base from spilling into the environment. Great strides have been made in controlling such waste as a result of work with the Department of Defense and civilian agencies. Such strides include various composting projects and the cleanup of contaminated soil areas. The base has a goal to reduce hazardous waste 50% by the year 1999. And who we are, what we do, and why we're here. Director of Systems and Engineering for the Impulse Plant in Mount Olive, Tom Young, will answer these questions as he addresses the Mount Olive Chamber of Commerce February 19th at their Thursday Business at Breakfast. Young says he will try and convince chamber members that answers to these questions provide helpful insight on success in business. That's a look at local news. I'm Thomas Vick on 1150 WGBR.
Gray skies the rule in this forecast as we look towards the weekend. Just a lot of low-level moisture will keep us from seeing too much of the sunshine. So mostly cloudy this afternoon, a few peaks of sun here and there, but more than that, we'll see periods of light rain and drizzle with highs in the low to mid-40s. Cloudy for tonight, the low to mid-30s for the low. And then for tomorrow, again, more clouds, maybe a few peaks of sun, some spotty drizzle. Highs again, 40 to 45. I'm meteorologist Chris Thompson in the Weather Center.
Performing my job with flawless broadcast excellence, this is Rush Limbaugh on WGBR.
1150 WGBR is interested in you, your family, your friends. WGBR wants to hear what everybody's talking about.